All right, we are recording. So tonight we're going to be going over task 3. Is anybody just dying to jump in and go first? Oh, I love volunteers.
Oh.
All right, and I will start with my 2. And I did mine pretty early, so I went back in tonight and then looked at the revisions that were done so I could update what I said a little bit. And my cat is joining me over my shoulder here. Those monkey. So let's see. Libra, I've got yours up first.
Okay.
I had commented on your task 3 that it was very clear that you and your PLC were making your decisions based on your data, and everything was directly connected to a school need, and that you did a really awesome job of describing the process you were using to make your decision, to describe the discourse and the research that was being used and everything in that process. That was a really great job. And again, clear demonstration of ability to lead, just like in task 1 and 2. Leadership clearly demonstrated. Your writing maintained a consistent professional tone throughout. And use of the template was excellent, and your transitions were also very strong in between sections. So it was a good job tying everything together like they continue to emphasize to us, to make sure everything flows like it's telling a complete story. The only comment I had made was some of your figures, while I understood the thought process and the discourse that was happening within your group, they kind of muddied the show as to which decision you were actually making. And I realized that you were selecting thinking through math, but some of the other figures related to some of the other options. And that was the only comment I made about that. That was anything that might need to be fixed.
Okay.
And let's see. I think that was all I put on yours. Jenny, I also reviewed yours prior to your revision, and I went back tonight and read your revised version, and it is excellent. Again, your description of the research that you used is really, really strong. It's clear your PLC decisions were based on that research and your school need. And you did an excellent job connecting the research you had done to vocabulary acquisition and how that was a need in your building. Your research shows a clear path to your decision, and you definitely were using data-driven decision-making and a good job leading your group discourse. The artifact was well organized, and you used the template well. The only suggestion I made, and I noticed in the revision it was redone, that in your original one it wasn't clear that the program you had selected was a new program. And I noticed in the revision you had added a sentence to clarify that you would be using vocab lessons that had not previously been used in iReady. So that was really awesome. Your revision was great, and I really enjoyed reading and, for me, learning more about vocabulary acquisition in elementary school, because that's not something I'm familiar with at all, being in middle school. So I really enjoyed both of the task 3s that I got to review for you guys. So who's interested in going next?
I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
I reviewed Jenny's task 3 as well. I said that the content that she presented in task 3, and this is her revised one that I looked at, was aligned with the course and met the criteria established by the assignment. So it was very spot on what was going. The no one influenced the doing. It was all written correctly. Your annotated bibliography, I thought, was very strong and well written. It included sources that matched the program that her PLC chose to use to improve vocabulary, so it was very well done. I didn't really notice any weaknesses in the task, especially since I looked at the revised version, so I thought it was all very, very well done. The narrative reflects the leadership within the PLC and the school, where she's talking about how the PLC looked at the different research and how they made the decision to use iReady. The writing is professionally done, and the spelling and grammar seemed, to my abilities to check, were all correct. The structure is good, and the subheadings were all accurate, and the citations were also accurate. So very good job with your task 3, Jenny. And then the other one I did was Heather's. And Heather, I didn't see but one link for yours, so yours must have been perfect from the beginning.
But it'll get there.
The content was aligned with the task, and instructions in all elements of the task were completed correctly. The strength for me was the visual figures. Like, I really enjoyed looking at that, especially the timeline that you created, that showed me not only your leadership in your PLC, but that your PLC was actually, getting ready for that next step of implementation, where they've talked about where you met and chose the program you want to use, and then this is the day they brought it to the school improvement team, and then they approved that, and then they ordered it. So Moby Max, they've got it. I really like that timeline. I was like, oh, that was a great idea. I should have done that with my PLC. I also like the web that you did, the bubble map. It was also a very good visual of all the different ways to study to help students with disabilities. I didn't see any errors in your artifact, and the structure was clear and understandable, and citations were correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go next. So I reviewed Libras first, and I reviewed your first submission. Did you do a second?
Yeah, I didn't submit it, but I did revise it. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as the content, the explanation of teams, the process for choosing the program is very appropriate. The bibliography was very explicit and helpful in explaining the programs. Excuse me, my dog's trying to get in the picture. The bibliography was very helpful in explaining the programs, excuse me. The only question I had with that was if there were any graphics to show like what other schools had done with the program or the growth that they had made. That was the only question I had. Strengths, your summary paragraph, I felt like was very strong. All areas were addressed. I didn't notice any real weaknesses. Your leadership was very strong in leading the decision-making process. It's very evident. Was very organized, and your citations are correct. So I thought it was very good.
Okay.
And the second one that I reviewed was Danny's. Content was very relevant. The information, very relevant. Programs were clearly vetted by the team members, and the collaborative decision was made for the best interest of the students. Seemed like all of the areas were addressed in your task 3. Didn't notice any real weaknesses. Your leadership, again, you led the team in the decision making and in vetting the programs. The only suggestion that I had was to make sure you go back and add your pictures, but I'm sure you probably did that already. It was very organized. Everything seemed to flow very well, and your citations were good. So good job, ladies.
Thank you. All right, so I reviewed Jenny's and Heather's. I'll start with Jenny. I said that you clearly stated the need and the rationale for choosing the need. So I really like that about what you wrote. Good job connecting the rationale for choosing the iReady program. I said you did a good job leading the PLC informing decisions, professionally written. And I thought you did a good job transitioning from one paragraph to the next. It was very well organized. And I liked your visuals. I thought that was a great addition. And I just had one question. I wasn't sure about the iReady for some reason, and I don't have your paper. I wasn't clear. For some reason, I thought you guys had already used iReady or were using it.
We
I don't
started
know
using
why.
it. Yeah,
I
we
have
started.
that note right here.
We started using it this year, so it's pretty new. But we hadn't used the vocabulary component before, so.
Okay. All right. Okay. But overall, good job, Jenny.
Thank you.
All right. So Heather, I put you did an excellent job with your literature review. It was clear and concise. The PLC did an excellent job with the rationale for choosing a solution to address the pressing need. You had a lot of good research. I really love that about that. I love the idea of adding the funding proposal in the appendix. Let's see. Well written. I felt like it was well written. An excellent job with the flow of paragraphs leading into the next paragraphs. Very professional. And just I just thought it was great. So you did a good job.
Thank you very much. All right, that's everyone. Got 2 reviews for task 3. If no one has any additional feedback for task 3, we'll go ahead and pause for tonight and come back together and talk about task 4 next time, okay?
Okay.
Ready.